Gemini, this is your astrology for May 2016. Thank you for joining me. It's nice to be with you today. Your ruler, Mercury, is in retrograde from the 28th of April until the 22nd of May, so for the majority of the month. And it's in retrograde in your 12th house in Taurus. Okay, so what you'll notice is that your spiritual messages may be a little bit difficult to discern, and you may be very focused on the real world, and it may feel like that spiritual connection is somewhat stifled or labored or even cut off. I don't know about you, but sometimes when I meditate or I pray, sometimes I can feel like I'm totally in touch with the universe and my will is their will and it's all one. And then other times I just feel like I'm hitting a brick wall. Now, that's the way this Mercury retrograde is going to affect you. I think you'll be far more able to communicate and to connect with practical things like tables, chairs, television. The other personal planet that's in retrograde is Mars, and that's retrograde from the 17th of April until the 29th of June. It's in Sagittarius in your 7th house. So I think your drive to discover new relationships will be stifled. I think you'll be pretty pleased and pretty insular when it comes to the people you have relationships with, and I don't think you're going to feel a big need to meet anyone else. So I think, you know, home is where the heart is going to really apply for you this month. And while this Mars is in retrograde, because Mars is the soldier, it's desire, it's what I want, and he's staying home at the moment. So that said, Venus is the planet of love and beauty, and that goes into your 12th house on the 2nd and 3rd of May, and it's at 2 degrees, 3 degrees, and 4 degrees, which is all about relationship, okay? So despite the fact that you can't really, that you're feeling disconnected in some way, that this Mercury is making things different, Venus, the planet of beauty, is encouraging you to connect with spirit and that you have love for spirit. So it may be that the normal ways of connecting, communicating are closed to you, and you're forced to look at this differently. So whether it's usually you meditate to have this sense of spiritual communion, belonging, but that no longer works for you, then maybe you have to try belly dancing or prayer. And I'm not making a joke here. I think it will be different, and if you find a spiritual way of communicating with spirit, that's going to work better for you. So walking in nature, doing hatha yoga, whatever it is, and it will urge you to find a new channel of communication with this higher power. So that's kind of complicated, but you can find a new way that you actually love and enjoy. On the 4th of May, there's a grand trine in fire in your chart. It connects your moon, Mars, and rising, and you're going to feel very much like you're the leader and you're in charge of your friendships at the moment, and you're the boss. You will feel very bossy on the 4th of May, and I think woe unto anyone who challenges you or who thinks you're wrong. Be very careful about your friendships, because if someone kind of challenges you directly, or if someone says you're a bad friend and you lied or something like that, I think you may hit the roof and you could potentially be very unaccepting of anyone else's view, and I think you could put an end to a really good friendship because you blow up. So really be careful around the way you feel on the 4th. On the 5th, the moon starts to conjunct your midheaven, and your moon is in Aries in your 11th, so you still have that sense of, yes, I'm very comfortable with my ideas, taking leadership, but rather than apply it to your friendships, apply it to your work. That's where it's better, that's where you can use that energy more effectively, and you can really use that energy to fulfill some of your hopes and dreams when it comes to career. So around the 4th and 5th, friendship, I would give you a 2 out of 10. Career, I would give you an 8 out of 10. So really use any kind of energy and put it into that sector of your life. The new moon occurs on the 6th of May in Taurus in your 12th house. The new moon pulls new energy in. You need to do something spiritual on the 6th of May. You need to like go to a drumming circle or a yoga class or a new moon celebration, a dance group, anything where the body and spirituality meet. Tantric sex even, I suppose. But that's really the bridge that you're crossing this month, that you can combine spirituality with the physical body, and you can approach that from the other way around. You know, if you've had an illness for a while that you think has some sort of spiritual cause, which all illnesses do, but you haven't been able to find that, then it's a great day to combine those two elements and to really get the answer to your problem. So the two meet. So it's a great time to blend those worlds and to get the most out of it. Interesting. On the 7th, Mercury retrogrades in between the moon and the sun, and it spreads miscommunication. Mercury is in retrograde, so the way you hear things will be different. Like I said earlier, that has kind of forced you to look at alternate ways of being, especially when it comes to spirituality. And on the 7th, specifically, listen to concrete, tangible messages that you can either feel or someone else says to you, but don't listen to your head too much, because it may there may be a misunderstanding. So if you get a message on this day, which if you take action on it will change your whole life around, really hold on to that and don't take the action straight away. Double check it, triple check it, and really be very careful, because there's great potential for misinfo on this day. On the 9th, Jupiter goes direct. Jupiter is the lucky planet of good fortune, and it's an outer planet, so it moves very slowly, and it spends a lot of time in retrograde and going direct. So I don't really usually look at that, but the fact that it does go direct on this day is significant, and it happens in your 4th house. So the thing that you are blessed with is family life, being able to achieve the things you want to achieve in your family. You also have your part of fortune in that sector. So really, for the month of May, family is your 10 out of 10. And if you do have any spare energy, or if you do think, what should I be doing, what should I be focusing on, I would urge you to spend time with family. On the 10th, the moon starts to conjunct Neptune. Okay, and this is very interesting, okay? I've spoken now about this big mess that you've got with your spiritual messages, and it's all confusing and blah, blah, blah. And on the 7th, you got a really funky message that you shouldn't really trust. Now, on the 10th, you get a really good message through your feelings that's going to help you fulfill one of your hopes and dreams when it comes to work. And this message you should listen to. And this is kind of what's difficult and what makes spirituality really an annoyance to a lot of people. Because sometimes you get intuitive messages and they seem right to you, and you take action and things go belly up and everything goes wrong. Like if you take the message on the 7th and do it, that's what will happen. But then other times you get messages and they're genuine, and you take action on those and they're magical, and they will help you realize your hopes and dreams, like now on the 10th of May. And that's what's irritating, because it's like, well, I'm listening to my guidance, and you know, sometimes it's right and sometimes it isn't right. What the hell is going on? The wrong guidance is from the ego, and it will feel fearful and urgent. The right guidance is from your higher self, and it will feel subtle and quiet and calm. And sometimes I wish I could just take my higher self and slap it and say, speak up, I need to hear you, okay? And that is the 10th, you get a higher self message that's really good. Okay, so listen to that, it'll take you places. And yeah, I mean, that's how I feel, because, you know, my higher self, I just wanted to know, like, tell me what I'm supposed to do and I'll do it. Don't whisper in my ear all the time, tell me. But it doesn't work that way for some reason. The ego yells at you, and the higher self is very quiet and very consistent and da-da-da. And sometimes we just need, you know, to be whacked over the head to actually listen to what's going on, because life is complicated, life is busy. So I don't know, so maybe someone has the answer for me why the higher self is so difficult to work with sometimes. On the 12th of May, a T-square occurs in your chart, and it connects Jupiter and Neptune. You get a good message now that will help you career-wise from a family member. Not a stranger, not a colleague, a family member. Listen out for that. It'll be very helpful. So it's interesting, but you're like a radio station this month, Gemini. It's all about info. That's it's the 12th of May now. I've been speaking about that for the whole time, and it's all about the messages and discernment, what's right and what isn't right. So really gather the information and be careful about what works and what doesn't. On the 13th, the moon goes into Leo and it sits on your ascendant in the 3rd. This is a day now, the opposite, where communication stems from you, and it's a very good day for you to step into the limelight and to present and to speak. This is a great day for you in terms of your work, in terms of your public life, in terms of fame, in terms of having people look at you. And if you do have a message to share, save it for the 13th and do it then. You will come across very well, very confident. On the 14th of May, the moon is now in Virgo, it's moved on, and it squares Saturn, and this energy remains until the 17th of May. And what happens is that you have a super radar now of making judgments when it comes to other people. I think there are a lot of other people who are now interested in you, in your life, and they want something from you. So I think a lot of people during this 3 days period are going to come to you and say, hey, what do you think about this? Maybe we should do that, maybe da. And that's great if people are interested in you, but sometimes people approach you for the wrong reasons. Sometimes they have their own agenda. I watched this thing yesterday where this actress was hired to act in this video and pretend to be drunk, and then there were a bunch of men who were hired who were given scripts to read and to behave in a certain way, and they thought nothing of it. But then the video was used for something totally different, and it made these people get death threats and really be put into a very difficult, bad situation. And it was because the producers of that video clip, the people who actually hired them, had bad intentions, okay? And that's what I'm getting here, that during this 3-day period from the 14th to 17th, you may be approached by someone who has a bad intention, but your moon in Virgo works with you to help you to discern what's right and what isn't right. And it's the same thing as earlier in the month when you had to decide between intuitive messages that you're getting, which are from the ego and which are from the higher self. So for whatever reason, this is the theme for you in May. You're being tested in terms of what is right and what isn't, and you have to practice your discernment. That seems kind of unpleasant, doesn't it? Let's see what the rest of the month is saying. So on the 17th then, Mars starts to oppose the Sun, and your Mars is right on one side of the chart and Mars is right on the other. So it's the sense of well-being within who you are and your spiritual messages, and the onslaught of the outer world that seems to be demanding something of you or pushing you to do certain things that aren't true. So if you're being pushed into something that doesn't feel right on the 17th, so it continues, then please just say no. Once it's done, and you have a choice. Don't let yourself be manipulated or influenced or pushed into something that you don't want to do. It's very important that you exercise judgment, good judgment, and that you assert yourself. On the 18th, the moon begins to oppose Uranus. And one of your friends has a great achievement on this day, and you'll be invited to celebrate. And again, you have a choice. Do I celebrate my friend's success or do I get jealous? I mean, I don't need to tell you which way to behave, but if you actually celebrate and enjoy your friend's success, then that's going to benefit everybody. That's interesting. Okay. On the 19th, the rising sign starts to square the Sun and Venus. If I can find it. Okay. And this is another great day for work and being in the public eye and speaking up. Okay, so you are you really are a radio station, because you have certain moments in the month here where you're being asked to step into the limelight and to communicate. And in the down days, in the meanwhile, you're getting all this info and you have to sort through it and say this is right and this isn't right. So basically, reading between the lines, Gemini, you're in a position of real power. Other people can sense that about you, and they will try and get their own messages across, and they will try and use you to further their own agenda, and it's up to you to be discerning and to sort the good from the bad. Goodness, it's very political this month. On the 21st, the full moon occurs, and that is in Sagittarius, in the 6th house. And the full moon is a blossoming, it's coming to fruition. And in your 6th house, it will come to fruition in your working life, and a doorway or a new opportunity will present itself, and all of this good presenting and all of this leadership you've been exhibiting up until now will actually open doors and lead to bigger and better things. So look for positive news then. Mercury goes direct on the 22nd of May, so communication goes back to normal. You're not being asked to, be so discerning, and you will naturally be able to communicate more easily and more effectively. On the 23rd now, the moon starts to conjunct Saturn, and you will align yourself with the people who've wanted something from you. So the lines are very much blurred on this day, okay? So let's say that up until now, someone has been trying to get you to do something. You either will feel the same way and you'll try to get someone to do something for you, or you will understand why someone wanted to manipulate you or something like that. And it's almost like you're getting in bed with the enemy here. You're aligning yourself with the devil. So this is an interesting day. If someone asks you to sign up for something on the 23rd, avoid that like the plague. It won't turn out well. On the 24th, Venus goes into Gemini in your sign, and the planet of love and beauty in Gemini, communication really gets even better. So first Mercury went direct, which made things better. Now Venus goes into your sign. So things start to get more positive, and it's not all of this cloak and dagger stuff, and you can rely on the information that you get much more. On the 26th, there is a T-square, which Saturn opposes the Sun, and then they meet with Neptune up in your 10th house. And this is a day now to actually work with other people to realize some of your own career hopes and dreams and goals, and you can trust their motives, and the motives and communication that you undertake on this day will actually help you realize your dreams when it comes to your job, not someone else's, and it'll be positive. Mars goes into Scorpio at the end of the month here on the 28th. And Mars is the soldier. It's desire, it's what you want. He's in retrograde already, so he's stifled. Now he's in retrograde in Scorpio. So poor Mars is really, really unhappy here. So now at the end of the month, the shift goes away from this working success, and it starts to get much more frustrated. And in turn, spirituality becomes more straightforward and picks up. So God, like this month is very complicated for you, Gemini. It's like one thing is complicated and then it eases off and gets better, and the other thing gets more complicated. So when it comes to work, up until the end of the month, that's really your bonus. And when it comes to communication and information, the whole month is very tricky and you have to really be on your toes. At the end of the month, communication improves, but work gets negative. So the month then ends with a Grand Cross from the 29th to the 31st of May, and that really brings together your ability to communicate well with family, and it causes friction between what you're trying to achieve in your working life. I would say at the end of the month, step away a little bit from trying to achieve all of these things in work. Focus more on work at the beginning of the month. At the end of the month, spend more time with family and try and keep it very simple so that you don't feel like things are just getting out of your control and that there's just too much going on. So I would say the end of the month is a time to kind of calm down, unwind, and step back a little bit. So I hope that gives you something to go on. If you'd like a private reading, please get in touch. A private astrology reading is going to be far more specialized for you, because this is for all Gemini, so that's a huge period of time. For your personal chart, I use your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth, which makes it much more specific. So get in touch with me. The website is gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab and you can order your reading there. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll speak to you next month.